Hi everybody, welcome back to another little craft with me. So today I am going to do a little bit of a build your stash video. So I love using smaller items that I've already done on larger projects. So I have gotten out a bunch of stuff that I already have, and I just wanted to show you. I had this package. This is the tag for it. So when you're in Michael's and you're going out the checkout and they have all those little bins just before the checkout of things that are marked down. They had these and they were called Recollections Creative Tags. And they're little fabric tags with already got a grommet in them. So there were 15 pieces in here, and I think I picked this up for less than $2. So they're canvas. I got them out of the package. I'm just going to put that bag away. I got them out of the package, and they're canvas. They're not white. They're like a cream color, but they're a nice clean canvas. And I want to turn them into something that looks like this. Something that I can put, I haven't put it on here yet, but I also have a bunch of little strips of fabric that I've coffee dyed. And I am going to use this to, well, I'll just put it on here. I'm going to add this to it as well. So let's get it. Tab coming out the top out of this fabric just to finish it up. Let's get you all the way through. It's too long. So yeah, I'm going to just take my scissors and I am going to trim this off. And because this is a cut piece as well, I'm going to take my fingernail just to finish this off. And this is what I'm doing. And then this one will be complete. There, I want this just as shabby as possible. So I'm making these into almost complete little fabric and paper tabs or tags or whatever we want to call them. But then these can be glued when they're done onto another project. Well, I haven't even glued this down yet. They'd be absolutely adorable in the tuck spot of a journal. Yeah, they'd be really great for all kinds of things. And I thought having half a dozen or more of these in my stash, it's all perspective. I like that. And I used the black on there because it's older looking as well. So I'll show you how I made this one. I started with my tabs. I've got a bunch here that are done, so you don't have to see this a million times. But I actually took 5 or 6 of these strings off the outside edge of each one of these tabs. So some of them were harder. I had to use my tweezers on some of them to get some of the threads started. Yeah, it's hard to get them off there. And then let's go this way. I'm going to pull this one off and this one off. I can't even get a hold of it. So I found if I took my tweezers and wrapped it around that, this is really strong fabric. It's almost like a tent fabric. It's absolutely crazy. But I wanted them to look a little bit older than what they were. They're just not shabby enough for me. So I want these to be like a shabby vintage theme. Because anytime I do a journal, I always do it in that distressed look. I don't make a lot of them because I don't need a whole bunch of journals around there. Now I'm going to just take this with my tweezers and I am just going to really fray these edges out here a little bit like this. And then I put it over here and I used my Vintage Photo Distress ink and did this to them. And I did it to all of them, made them, some of them are darker and some of them are lighter. Oops. I've only got a little work table here and I've just grabbed so much stuff out. So I've got my tags. Do I want to, I'm going to put a little bit of this on the other side as well. Do I want to make some of these a little bit darker? I think I do. So this was step one, was making these a little bit darker. And I think the Vintage Photo is the perfect color of ink for this because I just want it to look like it's been sitting around like a 100-year-old book. In fact, I think I have a book that's, I don't think it's 100 years old. I think it's from about 1940s. An old vitamin book that I picked up that I used for, oh, I got one left. I'll just use whatever I've got on my brush here. There. So I've got my tags all distressed. And that's all I'm going to do on those. And then I'm going to start putting these together. So how I started was I cut myself a bunch of 2.5-inch circles because 2.5 inches sits on there like that. I can see the bottom and the top of the tag, and then it hangs over on both sides. And I could do a dark one, a light one. I've got some pieces of craft paper circles that look like really old vintage wallpaper. I have these ones that are cut out and they've got some parts of letters and little pictures on there. Oh, I like that on there. And then I've got, oh, I got a few more of these. I like these ones that kind of have, so one of the other things that I have is I sat down quite a long time ago now and did a small little bin, one of these little bins, and I half filled it with little bits that were just 3 or 4 pieces of paper straight stapled together, and that's all I did. I had all these little bits, and I thought I'd be able to use that, some book page. I'm going to get my, so I've got a circle picked. I've also got this on my desk. This is why I'm running out of room. This is all vintage style papers. So my next step was just a little bit of book page. So I'm not going to get rid of this because look at how nicely this is aged. This book was from the 1940s that I took this book page out of. So I only want a little bit of book page, maybe kind of a triangle-y piece. And I still have to do this. This paper is really delicate. It just tears so easy. It's almost crispy. So on the circle, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to All I'm doing is just this. Then I'm going to take this. This is just a little piece of plastic wrap from a cereal bag. I cut my cereal bags, the box liners, I cut them up and lay them flat in pieces so that I have them for things like this. So I think I'm going to put this like this, and then a piece of book page on here like that. Then am I going to take a bit of a cluster that's already got something on it. Now this is just some yellow with blue polka dot scrapbooking paper, some blue scrapbooking paper, and then I took a little bit of brown and I ruffled it. And then I've got this little bit here, and then I used my tiny attacher to make a little stapled spot in it. So I think I'm going to use my tiny attacher here. And I'm just going to put this on here. Things don't fall off when they're stapled down. And then I think I'm going to glue this piece on top of here so it looks like a really substantial cluster. And I don't need another staple going out the back. So I'm going to stick it on here so that this is straight, but I want enough of that sticking out all the way around. Just like that. And then I've got buttons. So I have this jar. I've got my reds, my pinks, my browns in here. But a lot of these buttons came from my grandmother's button tin. And a bunch of the grandchildren, myself included, split up. She had a massive tin that was just right full of buttons because, of course, they never threw anything out. Well, I'm 70, and this is my grandmother, but I love these little bits of brown buttons, and they almost look like wooden buttons. So this almost has a bone look to it, so I'm going to stick it down there, but to stick it down, I'm going to use a little bit of glossy accents. I always use this to stick down buttons. So all I do is just put a little glob, just a tiny little bit. It's about the size of this pinhead down, and then drop my button down into it, and it goes up into the holes, and when it hardens it's like glass, and it just holds everything together so well. I'm going to set it up here so I don't bump it or bang into it, and I'm going to start another one. I think I'm going to use, this is pretty cool. It's a lighter color. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my scissors and just hold it. This is just paper. I think this is paper from a paper pad, a 12 by 12 paper pad from Dollarama. So it's just paper, hardly any heavier than a coffee paper. So when you do this, make sure you hold it close to the edge and go across the paper. Try not to push down too hard. Just let the edge of your scissors catch it. Now, because it's this pretty light color, I don't want to ruin that too much, so I'm going to go just back and forth along that roughed up edge and let it catch the ink without going too far over it. So all these little circles were cut out of just a box of scrap papers. So I'm going to set this on here like that. And I have this little piece. Isn't she adorable? But I think something needs to be on there still. Can you make something that's glittery and gold and has a sticker on it like this look vintage? Because that's pretty all in its own. And I like that it's hanging. The heart behind this is torn and then inked. And then I've used a glitter heart. Ooh, this glitter heart is like a piece of fabric. I don't know where it came from. And then this little love sticker. But this little love sticker is just too new. If I can make that, hold that down. I'm going to go all around the edges of the little love sticker. I'm just going to hold the other paper away from it while I do it. Put a little over the top. Is that better? I think I can live with that. Now I think I want to put this, when I put it on here, I think I want to put it a little off center. So I'm going to put this on here so that it sticks out this side a little bit. Not as much on the other side. And then I'm going to put this towards the left, which makes it bigger. I think I can do this. So, can I take my tiny attacher and put it, I'm going to use it upside down. I'm going to take my tiny attacher and put it in under that heart. Let's get it in the right spot. Or under that love right there. And give it a little staple. So it's in there and it's not coming off. The tiny attacher works perfect for this. And that one's, I kind of like this one. Just the way it is now. So I'm going to put it up there in the done pile to get a topper later. Let's do another one. These are pretty. I'm kind of liking these. Do a circle first. Let's see what I got here. These pieces I cut out into circles because to me, these look like pieces of old vintage wallpaper, or even something like this looks like wallpaper. This definitely looks like old wallpaper. So I think I'm going to use this one. And I think I'm going to put it down and go a little bit over and really get these edges good. So look at how old and raggedy that makes those edges look. I think I want to cluster quite a bit onto this one. So start with the tag, put a circle on it. I got some coffee dyed tickets here, so I think it would look cool if the number was sticking out a little bit. So I like that little number sticking out the edge. But maybe another little piece of this book page first. Something like this. So I need to ink this. So book page, ticket, so some of these things I didn't make. Some of these things I got in Happy Mail. Like I have this little wooden fox on a piece of paper. This was in Happy Mail. These moths, these sparkly moths, ooh, they came in Happy Mail, and they're almost like a vintage gold color. I have all kinds of little things like this. I have little things like this. Admit one. This has got a little number on it. This has got the number going down this way. As I'm building this up, I'm thinking that I don't need a sentiment on something like this. So I don't remember what this paper is from, and it's just a cutout that's been inked, so it was probably in a swap. I also have some things that are really cool. These came in a package from my Sticky Club subscription when I was doing that, and they look like vintage sailboats. I haven't even taken them out. Ooh. Yeah, I haven't even taken them out, but they look like vintage sailboats. And something like that stuck on there under, like that would look really cool as well. I'm just wondering what else I could put on here, but I think maybe that's enough if I get this all on here the right way. So let's start by putting a tiny little dab of glue on this stuff and trying to hold it into place. So I'm just going to a dot on the back and make it so that that print comes out the top, and then just a little dot of this. I want it to be in the right spot, so about there. This doesn't need to be there yet. And then this can go here, but it needs to be muddied down a little bit. I didn't make this one. So I've done so many swaps over the years, and I like a lot of distressing. You can tell I throw a ton on when I'm doing vintage. And I don't put as much distressing on when I'm doing something for a swap. So I'm sure we had to send something like 10 or 20 little pieces of ephemera made already like this. That looks better. I think I'm also going to take this. It's just a permanent black marker. I want the definition between the layers to be there. So I'm trying to go just around the edge onto the front of this so that you can hardly see it, but it's going to stand out now from that piece there. Sometimes you just want more definition. So I'm just going to put a little dot on there and put it like this. So I've got this cluster like this so far. Hold that for a second so it doesn't move. And I'm going to put this. Now, am I going to be able to do this? Because I want to put this sailboat whoops. I want to put this sailboat on here, but I want to put it under that. And then I'm going to put it right up like that. Now it's matte and not glossy, so you can see it on there. That should never come off. I know these really thin. This is like washi tape, so thin like that. So now I've got something that is pretty substantial that can go on here like this. I've got this staple here. I'm wondering, do I want another staple on here now? Maybe I do. Do I have a button that'll cover that staple over and not look too crazy? This button, this must be the back, because this button actually has engraved in it a flower that's going all around the outside, and you can't see it until the light hits it. So if I put that over top of that, do I need a little piece of thread in this? I've got this stuff that I took off of the tag, so why not? I can't have it this color though. I can't distress the tag and not distress this thread to match it. So yes. Yes, I like that. Let's go back to the glossy accents. Just put a dab on there and set it right on top of that staple. And I think I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there. And that's all attached together. So to make sure that this stays on my tag and doesn't fall off, I'm going to make sure that the back is attached, because I put a little dab of glue on each one of these. So nothing should move now. I could even put a little bit more down in here just to secure that piece. A little bit down in here to secure that piece and that piece. There. And that one's going to be called Done as well. So I'm going to finish up the last two, and then I'll come back and I'll show you everything that I have. How many did I make? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them done. And I think that's enough for my stash. They have, I mean, they all look different. So it'll probably be really hard to choose what I want to use them for. But these would be great for trading. You could put them in as a little extra when you're sending somebody a swap. They could just go in a little packet in a rack, in a, you know, just to send somebody something because you want to. So this one here has a pink circle in the back. So I used pink pearls on the front to bring that pink up a little bit. And then the background that this embossing, this is a moth, and it was embossed on a piece of paper that was a little bit pink, but I cut around it really close to the edge of the moth and then glued it on a piece of book page that didn't have any writing on it. So for my layers, I've got the pink, the book page. There's another, just a punched flower here that you can see little bits of through. And then you've got the moth, and then you've got the pearls and the flowers on top. And then I put a sentiment on here. And of course, I've got a little fabric at the top as well. This one, I wanted to do it in circles, kind of. So I had the 2.5 inch circles. I punched a 2-inch circle out of book page to lay on top of it. I had this little bit of a flower punch with this fox on top of it that I got in a swap as one of my extras. And I had this little bitty piece of paper with this little flower on it. And I put a wonderful creature on here. And of course the top. I think you saw this one, but I added a top to it. And I didn't add a sentiment or anything else extra to this. I just left it because I thought it's nice and neutral to add to a small Valentine journal or a little notebook or just to put inside a little tuck spot. And of course, I did this one on camera, I think. Or no, I did this one first, I believe. This was already a little cluster. I'll do a video soon on just how to do little clusters so that you have them to grab when you're doing things like this. So I have my background circle, this little cluster. I added a button on top and it says it's all perspective. There's 2 little tiny birds on that one. And then this one, I had this big, I don't know what it came off of, but it was a big, almost rectangle shaped button. And it's a wooden button. So I wanted to use it. It's the only one I think I have like this. And I wanted to use it. And I thought it kind of fit on this card. So I found this little piece of paper here in my scrap bin. And it had some lines and a little, what do you call this? The little squiggle that's at the front of the music line. A treble clef, I think. My husband plays guitar and sings, and I don't even know what this is. But I got a little bit of a music sheet instead of a book page. So I put the music sheet down, and instead of putting a circle behind this one, because I knew I would have just covered it up. There wouldn't have been much showing. So I had this little moon face here. And I thought that that was really kind of different. So the music in this reminds me of my husband. The number 4 was the number of his favorite hockey player. I have this little bit of numbers behind here, the moon face and this hand pointing. And I couldn't think of another sentiment that would work on here. So I put adventure awaits you. It's such a random cluster of things. And instead of that fabric, I wanted to see what it would look like if I put a little bit of jute rope at the top of this one. I might leave it. I might not. I didn't glue it to fasten it or anything, so I can take it off and change it later if I decide I want to. This one, did I make this one on camera? Anyway, this one has a brown button. It's got a blue colored circle, some blue paper in here. This little sign, this was a cluster, this and this. And I put today is full of possibilities. And focus on what's important. And this is absolutely just stacked. So I started off with my circle, and then I've got a piece of green paper, some dark brown paper. I have some book page sticking out here. I have this little piece that was already put together with this and this were layered. And then this and this were layered together. They must have come off of something else. And then I put the button on here. And I decided when I was done all of this that it needed something. So I tucked this little butterfly into the top. And I glued this all together and put this button on here. And it looks vintage enough on its own. But this button, I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it's actually, it's a 4-hole button, and it's actually Levi's. It says Levi's on there. And nowadays when you get the Levi's stamp on your pants, it's a little metal button that's put right in. This was actually a sewn button. So it's off of a pair of vintage Levi's. And this one is longish pieces all going this way on top of my circle. And then I took that little Tim Holtz girl that was on that other little piece. I took the staple out of her head. They had her stapled by her at the top of her head. So I decided to take a butterfly, glue it on behind, and give her wings. And I just put be yourself, and I put this little bit of vintage bling on here, and I put some fibers sticking out. And the last one that I did was very simple. This was the one that I did with the ship with you guys, and this little button, and I just added the top and put daydreams on here. I'll just grab a little tub like I have these flowers in. I have all kinds of these little tubs, and they stack, which makes them really good. So you can put a lot of them on a shelf, and you can see in the end. So I'll just put all of these in a little tub like that and add them to my stash. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you think. And these, if you see these fabric tags at Michael's or any place else, grab them up because they are great for all kinds of things. And like I said, these tags could go in pockets in junk journals. You could put these just as a bookmark, or you could use them on another piece of art. Like quite often I'll be doing something that's bigger, a Memorydex card or something like that. And one of these clusters will be perfect to put a bigger image on one side and a cluster like this on the other side, and it gives them so much character. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would absolutely love it if you did that before you left. Come on back and see what else I'm up to, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Until then, bye-bye for now, everyone. Have a really great day.